Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, and today is going to be a showcase for Yelan. Her rerun is going to come out by the time this video has come out. In this video I'm going to be going over her skills, her weapons, her artifacts, and then going into her constellations, and then right after I'm going to be showcasing her in the Abyss to see how really strong of a unit she really is. And then I'm going to showcase her in the Abyss to see how well she functions as a unit. So let's get started with the video with going over her talents. Her first skill is the generic normal charge attack, but it has a special mechanic where she will enter a state called breakthrough. Spending 5 seconds out of combat will allow her to change her charge attack into a AoE charge attack where it deals AoE hydro damage to any enemies that is hit nearby. When gaining breakthrough, she will get 80% decrease of her charge time when doing an aim shot. And the AoE damage is based on Yelan's max HP. When going into her elemental skill, whenever you tap and hold her elemental skill, she will go into a stance where she runs really fast, and whenever you are near an enemy, you will apply a mark called a lifeline. And whenever you are out of this stance by either letting go of your elemental skill, all the enemies that were marked will be dealt with hydro damage based on Yelan's max HP. The max duration of her skill is 3 seconds and the cooldown of it is 10 seconds. And when moving on to her elemental burst, whenever you proc her burst, she does AoE hydro damage and then spawning a dice that spawns on the right side of your character, and whenever your character does normal attacks, it does these coordinated hydro attacks where it shoots hydro arrows towards the enemy based on Yelan's max HP. These arrows also have auto targeting, so it's kind of hard for the arrows to miss an enemy unless the enemy is like moving really fast. The duration of her burst is 15 seconds, while the cooldown is 18 seconds, and the energy cost of her burst is 70. When going into her passives, her first one, whenever the party has 1 to 4 different elemental types, Yelan's max HP is increased by 6 to 30%, which is a good amount of bonus HP if you don't have a lot of HP stats from your artifacts. When moving on to her second passive, when her burst is still in play, your own active character deals 1% more damage. This increases by a further 3.5% every second, and the maximum increase to damage dealt is 50%, which is a pretty good passive to have, especially for the character that you're on fielding. And then her third passive is just gain 20% more rewards when dispatched on a leeway expedition. When going into her constellations, her first one basically allows you to do an additional instance of her E, allowing you to not only deal more hydro damage but also get a lot more particles to decrease on the energy requirement for you to get her elemental burst back. Her C2, when her elemental burst conducts a coordinated attack, it will fire an additional water arrow that will deal 14% of Yelan's max HP as hydro damage. This effect can trigger once every 1.8 seconds. This is kinda good if you want to deal additional more damage on Yelan's elemental burst. Her C3 is a level increase for her elemental burst, which is pretty nice. And her C4, basically whenever you mark an enemy with her elemental skill and when it explodes, it increases the HP of all your party members up to a maximum of 40%, so meaning you only have to mark 4 enemies total, which is pretty good for characters that scale of HP like Yelan. But the thing is that this is mainly only very useful in terms of like mobs instead of like going against bosses. With this, you still do get 10% but not as much as like 40%, which is pretty nice for characters that scale up HP like Yelan. But the thing is mainly useful against group of enemies where you can easily mark like 4 enemies to get the max total of HP you can, instead of like a boss which is mainly 1. Her C5 is a level increase for her elemental skill, which is pretty nice but not really that massive because you're not really focusing on her elemental skill that much. And her C6, basically whenever you use her elemental burst, Yelan will enter a state called Mastermind. In this state, all of Yelan's normal attacks will be special breakthrough barbs. These attacks will have similar abilities to normal ones, and the damage dealt will be considered charge attack damage, dealing 156% of a normal breakthrough barb's damage. The Mastermind state will last 20 seconds and will be cleared after Yelan fires 5 arrows. So if you are considering pulling constellations, my advice is that you don't really need to. She's really strong as a 0, so you don't really need to prioritize pulling additional constellations for Yelan unless you want to make her really strong. Then the only constellations I really recommend is going for C6 because of the damage increase that she gets from her breakthrough barbs, which you don't really use that much as Z0, but with C6, because of the damage increase she gets from the breakthrough bars is really strong. For talent priority, I really recommend leveling up her elemental burst first, considering this is her main source of damage. and then some on her elemental skill if you really care about doing a lot of damage from your lifeline proc, and then not really none on your normal attack because you're not really focusing on the breakthrough barb unless you are going to C6 her. And when taking a look at her artifact choices, it's really simple. She mainly wants Emblem considering her elemental burst is the main source of her damage. But if you don't have good pieces on the Emblem set, then you could settle for a 2-piece set like 2-piece HP from Tenacity, or 2-piece ER or 2-piece Hydro considering what kind of stats you want. These are my artifacts that I will be running on Yelan for today's showcase. For main stats, you mainly want HP on her sands, but you could settle for ER sands if you don't have a lot of ER for Yelan. For goblets, I really recommend hydro damage, but you could settle for HP if you don't have a lot of good hydro damage goblets. And for circlet, you can run crit stat or maybe even HP if it has good substats. As for weapon choices, she really only has 3. 1, the aqua bow, mainly because the weapon fits better with her kit. 2nd, LG, because 1, it gives you ER, which is pretty good if you are running her on the emblem set, and the buffs that it gives is nice for your other party members. And 3, Favonia's warbow. This is her best in slot free to play weapon, mainly because you get it for free, and the passive is really nice not only for Yelan but also for your other party members because energy regeneration from the passive is really good. I understand there are other choices for Yelan, but I don't really recommend those choices because Favonia's is just that good. My main stats for Yelan for the showcase is 70 crit rate, 272 crit damage with 151% ER with a total HP of around 35k. So then please enjoy this showcase.
One with nature. Game's up. Time's over. Gotcha. Clouds high. The birds come.
Everybody stand! Nice and spicy! Let's light it up!
Into the wind.
Time to go to work.
Things are about to get dicey. Fallen leaves. Adorn my night.
Let's end this now.
Bustin'. To the wind.
Teamwork is true!
Fallen leaves. Adorn my...
Here comes the catch! Going in!
Take it easy. The wind knows it.
Game's up!
Time's over.
Teamwork is true! Eat this!
Wind strike. As one with wind and cloud. Busted.
Let's light it up! Get them! Everybody stand back!
Things are about to get dicey.
You
One with nature. Clouds high. The birds call. The wind knows me.
Gotcha!
now you're testing my
Things are about
patience.
to get dicey. One with nature.
Teamwork is dreamwork! Target them! Let's light it up! Raise a storm!
Into the wind.
Be a good audience, won't you?
I'm going in!
Fallen leaves. Adorn my...
Game's up!
Time's over.
Quiet now.
The wind knows it.
Teamwork is dreamwork!
Not done yet.
Gotcha!
birds come!
At least.
And that is the showcase for Yelan. Hope you guys enjoyed it. My overall thoughts for Yelan is that she's really strong, but the main thing about her is that she's really compared to Xingqiu, and the differences between Xingqiu and Yelan is that Yelan is really strong, but Xingqiu is much better, not only because her hydro application is not as great, and Xingqiu can provide some utility than Yelan. For example, the swords that he generates from his elemental skill can provide some healing and also some damage reduction for your main on-fielder, but that doesn't decrease the value that Yelan can provide for your account. So overall, I think she's a really strong and overall good character. That is it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please consider leaving a like, subscribe for more content in the future. Check me out on Twitch. The link will be in the description below. That's it for today. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Peace.